Hi everybody, I'm Matt Klaus.
I'm Tara Kostic.
This is the Themes to Be Seen podcast. This is take 3, our third try to record this.
Yeah, because Matt threw his notebook in the previous
tape.
tape.
In these next episodes we'll be breaking down the symbolism behind Jordan Peele's second film he wrote and directed, Us.
Spoiler alert.
If we have to say spoiler, if you're just listening to this and we have to say spoiler alerts, go back and listen to the previous episodes. Mm-hmm. All spoiler alerts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Welcome everybody. On today's episode, we already went over that. We do cold opens now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, Us came out in February 2019. We actually had our kickoff event, for the podcast with this movie. We threw an event, a private screening of the film. We had a private screening of the film. Need to thank everybody for coming. Alexis, Joe, Adam, Lou, Nick, Ray, Ann and Kent. Who are your friends that came?
Courtney and her boyfriend.
That guy.
There were a few people we didn't know.
We actually had a couple people come in from the public because the cashiers were like, we don't have a late showing. And they just sent people from the public in, which thank you, cashiers, because we needed a certain amount of people to be in there, and we just barely made it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we went over what our minimum was.
We needed 15 people. We ended up having 19. It worked out nicely. Hopefully someday we can get another event together. It was a bit of an ordeal.
Yeah, we talked about all of that in our intro episode.
Yep. So. If you haven't listened to our intro episode, go listen to that. That's fun too.
I feel like we're a little bit rusty. We've been pretty behind on recording this episode. A lot of stuff has happened this month. My work schedule has been all over the place, and then we were actually set to record last Wednesday, and we had to take Elvis to the emergency vet.
Yes.
And he's okay now, but
Yay.
Yeah, that was a very eventful night.
Yeah, and we also would have recorded before last Wednesday, but it has been 150 degrees in the studio.
Yes.
The studio faces west, and that's where the sun goes down. So it's been really hot in here.
And my throat is kind of sore. I just worked a 2-day event this weekend.
We were lots of technical issues already on this episode. So we're working through it. Bear with us.
We also didn't want to do this episode until we had everything nailed down, because there's so much that goes into this movie.
If you've been paying attention to our show, or you are just starting from the beginning and following on in the future, thank you people from the future, this is technically our 4th episode, but a lot of our episodes are broken into 2 parts. This one might be 3 parts. There's a lot. It took us probably 8 accumulated hours to do our notes and our research.
We have 26 combined pages of notes.
26 combined pages of notes.
Peeling the layers of Jordan Peele.
Aha, I see what you did there. Man. Anyway, came out in February 2019.
I thought it was March 22nd.
I thought it was earlier than that.
No, because I went to Colorado a few days after.
Yeah. Oh man, I had it all wrong. I'm thinking of Black Panther. Black Panther came out in February.
Of last year?
Of 2 years ago.
Oh.
Anyway, starring Lupita Nyong'o, who is a tour de force in this film.
I think, okay, so there's this, and then we also just saw Midsummer last week.
Oh yeah.
I think those movies have performances that should be Academy Award nominated.
Yes, redefining the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if a film is nominated for an Oscar, they'll never call it a horror. You look back at former films that were nominated for Oscars, Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
They refused to call it a horror. It was a thriller.
And I believe, Sigourney Weaver was nominated
For Alien.
Aliens. Yeah.
And they did not call that a horror movie either. It was a sci-fi thriller.
Toni Collette should have been nominated for Hereditary year.
If you have not watched any of Ari Aster's movies as well as Jordan Peele's movies, because we constantly talk about how much we love Jordan Peele. Ari Aster is one of the unsung heroes of film right now, and I think it's because his films are so challenging.
We sat in the theater in silence after Midsommar, and then we even stood out in the parking lot just kind of speechless. I feel like we witnessed something
Wrong.
Like, not even that, but like, past generations had like The Exorcist and Alien, like such.
And we talk about that. We've talked about that.
Big, shocking movies. I kind of feel like Midsommar was that kind of experience for us.
It was. When people say shocking, it really. I'm a hard person to shock. I've had a hard life. Some of the concepts that you feel coming out of that film.
Mm-hmm. It was a very emotional journey as well with this character. And I feel like you could watch that movie from two different perspectives. Her perspective and his perspective.
What's that actress's name again? Her last name is Pugh.
Florence Pugh?
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh and Lupita Nyong'o definitely should both be nominated for Oscars. They will not be. Neither one will be.
That's so heartbreaking because Lupita just put so much into this performance. I feel like she didn't approach it as just a horror movie. Like, she saw it as the full picture, concept.
She really lost herself. We'll go into her playing the character of Red, as well as Addie, side by side. We'll compare and contrast those a little later. Maybe not in this episode. Stay tuned. You should come back, check up on us every once in a while. Winston Duke, who nobody knew who he was before Black Panther, and that's probably why I was thinking of that.
Maybe.
Gave the monologue of the year in 2018 in Black Panther when his character was challenging T'Challa for the throne. His character M'Baku was challenging T'Challa for the throne. Everybody had that monologue memorized. It was great, and he came out of nowhere, and I have no idea who he was before that. But in this film also, he just gives such a good performance. He's kind of the comic relief guy in this. A lot of the good laughs come off Winston Duke in this movie.
I feel like he based his character on Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele 100% refutes that. But as a viewer, the casual viewer who enjoyed Key and Peele and now enjoys this film will definitely see a comparison. Shahadi Wright Joseph, another actress, a young actress, which I believe she's 14 or 15. She also came out of nowhere on this and was excellent. Like, her dual roles, she really gave both characters a personality that sticks with you. Evan Alex, who plays the son, he is Jason, which we'll get into that later also.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of energy. He gives a lot of energy in this movie. And I think without him, without the energy he gives, it wouldn't have been the same film. We also have Elizabeth Moss. Don't mind that noise. I won't say it on the air.
Okay.
If you know me, you know why I just sighed. But I'm not going to say it on the air. We don't want to alienate anybody.
Alienate.
Also, Tim Heidecker, who I've loved Tim Heidecker for a long time. A lot of people saw him for the first time in Bridesmaids as Doug.
Oh, I feel like I want to watch Bridesmaids again
Doug,
now.
he was the guy she was marrying.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, he had Tim and Eric Awesome Show Great Job, which, if you drank tall, cold glasses of water in the early 2000s and watched Adult Swim, it was probably one of your favorite shows because it came on with that same lineup as Aqua Teen Hunger Force and that whole, when Adult Swim was at its peak, and he has this very out of the box, this very creative sense of humor that you don't see translating to good film acting, but he is also really good in this movie. Jordan Peele is in this movie 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
His voice is in this movie 2 times. One time he is the narrator in the Funhouse. He is the Funhouse narrator person voice. And the second time, he is the sound of a dying rabbit.
That's sad.
No, it's not sad. Because they originally had used a sound clip of an actual rabbit in distress. And they got pushback from the studio saying that wasn't okay, and if they used it, it was going to be an X rating.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided to imitate the noise himself, and that's the sound that they used. Was he imitates the sound of a dying rabbit, and that's the one that's in there.
So I feel like this movie has polarized a lot of people. When it was coming out, I refused to watch any promotional materials about it. I just didn't want anything
We do that with a lot
spoiled.
of movies now.
I've done it since Hereditary, and I have been doing it since then because I had no idea what Hereditary was about, and I just knew there was like this big shocking twist and stuff, and I wanted to know nothing about it. And so when we finally did watch it, I was blown away. And so I've been doing that with... Why are you laughing? Okay. Alright.
Never mind. It's not another business.
But...
No, we were just watching the show on Netflix, blown away, and she just happens to use that
because they say
galloping.
glory holes every 10 minutes, and I
glory
crack
hole
up
was
every
a tool
time.
before it was what you were thinking of, dirty mind.
Well, I can't help it, especially when they're like, you get your own personal glory holes.
Which is just a bed, if you think about it.
Is it the little oven
that
they use? Yeah. I don't know. It still cracks me up.
Oh,
but...
cracked glass. Because it's about glass blowing.
But yeah,
She's
so
funny.
now there's a big movie coming out that I want to see. I avoid any trailers or anything because trailers these days give everything away. They're 3 minutes long.
There's
Why do
no
they
point.
need to be that long?
We recently just saw a trailer for a film, and I don't remember what it was, where they literally showed us all the major plot points of the film. Do you remember that?
It's been quite a few.
Well, there was one in particular that we watched, and we were like, well, no need to wait to see that now.
Yeah, because at first we were like, oh wow,
this is
looks
really
good.
Interesting.
But no, then it kept going,
and
it's like,
it could have ended at that 45-second mark, and we would have probably gone to see
that
it
anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people, were like, oh, it wasn't scary, or oh, it didn't make sense, and...
Okay, the people that said it doesn't make sense, A, should listen to our show, because that's what we're here for. And I almost said A and then 2. B, if they said it wasn't scary, maybe it wasn't for you because you watch James Wan movies that uses cat scares.
Yeah, this isn't going to be like the Annabelle movies.
No,
with
there are a lot of people. There's a lot of people that
scares.
go see The Nun.
Yes.
If you think The Nun is a scary film, you need to come hang out with us and watch some real scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scary movies we watch, if you think The Nun is scary film, wear your brown pants. We'll fill you in.
Mm-hmm.
This was scary in a conceptual sense. It wasn't like, that jumped out at me, and the concept of seeing yourself. Jordan Peele.
And the performances.
The performances are insane.
Yeah.
But the actual horror concept behind it of seeing yourself in front of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually had to do that, it would be probably the scariest thing. If you were walking on the sidewalk at night and you turned around and you were standing in front of you, nothing could scare you more.
And it's actually kind of twisted and sad.
There's lots of the twist in this
Mm-hmm.
film is the scary part. Is the
Mm-hmm.
part that makes you go, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of figured that's what was gonna happen.
He leads it.
Yeah.
But still, like, that is the part where that gets you.
Mm-hmm.
When you realize that it's the truth. We're giving the end away before we do the rest of the movie.
But yeah, I was so excited when this was coming out. I really liked the marketing posters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They would have one with the family, the regular family holding hands, and then one with the red family, and then there's also the poster with Lupita standing there, and she's holding like a mask
of herself,
which is very similar to the artwork for a movie from 1991, I believe, called Popcorn.
It also is a representation, because Jordan Peele is such a scholar
Mm-hmm.
of cinema and acting, and he tries to put as much classical note in as possible. And I know that there's going to be people that have never listened to our show before that are going to listen to this episode and go, wow, Matt really hangs off of Jordan Peele's nuts. I do, though. Go listen to other episodes. I talk about Jordan Peele often because he is...
Believe me, everyone, I know.
He is a resurgence of the director that pays attention to what is in his picture. He doesn't just... It's not just, okay, in this scene, it's going to look like this. Frame by frame, the minutia he goes through is so insane, and it doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to our Get Out episode, I have re-listened to our Get Out episode and realized we skipped over a lot of things just because we were thinking about time. But there's so much there that we could have gone into even deeper detail, like we're doing with this one. Like, we're getting deep into this one.
Yes.
But he thinks so hard about what he's doing, and he's not getting the credit for it. He's really not. And I say that even considering he won his Oscar for Get Out. He deserves more. He's one of my favorite people on earth.
Yeah, that's another thing that gets me is all these people saying how it wasn't like a good movie or anything, but then those same people will complain that we don't have original horror movies or that everything is being remade.
Isn't that frustrating?
It is.
When something intelligent and original comes out,
Mm-hmm.
it flies over their head. And they because they don't understand it, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, listening to our show. Or listening to... There's a lot of people that YouTube it. It's not hard if you don't understand something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's Foundflix is excellent. That's a guy that I've watched for a couple years now. Chris Stuckman gives good reviews and spoiler-filled analysis. Check it out. There's a lot of really intelligent people who do what we do also. We just go into probably more extreme detail than anybody else does. To get into the film itself, the text. The text at the beginning sets up a tone. He really gave a tone right at the beginning.
So the movie begins and we get this text and it says, "There are thousands of miles of tunnels beneath the United States." United States, us.
Yes.
That's something I took away at least.
Yeah, no.
Abandoned subway systems, unused service routes, and deserted mine shafts. Many have no known purpose at all. And that's how the movie starts.
Yes. Which, when we talk about tone, sometimes talking about the quality of a film, you realize that part of the thing that can make a movie bad is shifts in tone. Is this supposed to be a horror comedy? Is this supposed to be a straight horror? Is this...
Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Right. He gives a creepy vibe. It's not supposed to be, oh no. It's supposed to just be unsettling.
Yeah, because we're initially focused on this family, and we know that something bad is coming.
Yes. We get to this Hands Across America commercial, which, if you didn't know any better, we were born either at the time this came out or shortly after, and it's not a real Hands Across America commercial. They made it for this movie, but if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. It's that good.
So, yeah, the opening after the text is of the TV screen, and this instantly made me think of Get Out because of...
The TV scene.
Yeah,
yes.
The scene where he's watching TV waiting for his mom to come home.
And or the scene where he's chained to the chair.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And there are movies next to the TV. We see Chud, The Goonies, The Man with Two Brains, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Right Stuff.
Yes.
Which a lot of people were like, why The Right Stuff?
Well, let's go through the easy ones first. Chud.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the spoilers start. Is a film from, I believe, 1983, 84.
Around that time.
About homeless people. We're not doing an episode on Chud, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty straightforward movie. Homeless people who, in the wintertime in New York, took refuge in the sewer at the same time an evil corporation is dumping toxic waste, and they turn into something humanoid but not people, which is why we get Chud, cannibalistic human underground dwellers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty straight kind of slashery early 80s horror movie, but it coincides with part of the theme of this film. Like he's giving parts of the story away with these films. What's the next one?
We have The Goonies.
The Goonies, another underground reference.
Mm-hmm. Which next weekend,
yes.
July 20th.
2019, if you're listening to this in the future.
The Masonic Temple for their midnight...
Masonic Temple of Bay City.
Masonic Temple of Bay City for their Midnight Monster movie. And in accordance with the Tall Ships celebration weekend, they will be showing The Goonies.
The Goonies.
And it only costs $2 to get in.
There's a 9 and a midnight showing.
They're showing, I think, a 5:30 p.m.
Okay, so if you have kids, if you're listening to this and you have kids, or you don't like staying up all night, the 5:30 showing will still be fun.
They always do things to make
they dress up
the
in
event
costumes.
fun.
Yes, they dress up in costumes.
They might be playing some Cyndi Lauper when you
in.
walk in.
You know, they'll play some like 80s-ish some 80s-ish music, and it's just it's a fun time. Mm-hmm. It's a cheap movie. They show movies that are fun to watch. It's a good atmosphere. They're always such happy people. Mm-hmm. You go and get the cheap snacks.
Yeah, $1.
$1 for almost everything, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one. I think popcorn is $1.50. I think. But everything else is $1. But regardless, go. Even if you don't go to the Goonies, Tall Ships, get their schedule. We got a couple months left on their movie festival once a month thing. So
next month it'll be Attack of the Killer Tomatoes,
which we'll definitely be at because that's one of my favorite films ever. It is the dumbest movie ever made on purpose. And then we have
The Man with Two Brains.
The Man with Two Brains. Steve Martin, 1987.
I've never
87.
seen it, I don't think.
Okay. So, I don't remember how it happens, but Steve Martin ends up with a brain in fluid that's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he becomes psychically connected to said brain, who asks, begs, tells him to do things. Again, giving away part of the story of this movie. Like, he's telling you the story, parts of the story of the movie with these movie covers. The third one, obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, which is one of Jordan Peele's favorite horror movies.
I think
of
he
all
says
time.
it is his favorite movie.
His number one is Alien.
Oh, his number one is Alien, yes.
But yeah, he's big on like The Birds and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Classically well done horror films, and that it really shows in his filmmaking. He said a lot of the aesthetics of the film, the shadows and the way people move and are shown in background really come from Nightmare on Elm Street.
And then we have the use of the sharp objects.
Sharp objects are a big deal in this, and we'll talk about that more in either in this or future episodes. The next one, The Right Stuff.
The Right
Okay,
Stuff.
you did the research on The Right Stuff because I'd never even heard of that one.
So this was like, what exactly was it about? They go to space?
The
I
astronauts?
thought I
Are
had-
we astronauts?
Yeah, I thought I had written notes on it, but I guess not.
Oh, okay.
But, basically it is shown in this movie because that is a movie about going on this, journey for honor, that kind of thing.
Staying
I'm
positive. Like
jumbling my words
it
and
really
how
it really got
it's twisted in this movie because you have like two different sets of characters that think they're doing
the honorable thing.
the honorable thing.
And you
And it's just the way
it sets up a
we
dichotomy.
look at it.
Which one is actually doing the honorable thing.
But yeah, the Hands Across America commercials, they began in 1986.
Okay.
And this commercial that is showing on the TV screen, it starts showing like all these different boxes with people's smiles
Yes.
on the TV screen, which is very similar to a future shot of a bunch of rabbits in cages.
He also uses this and the setting to not treat his audience like they're stupid.
But then the commercial itself says 6 million people will tether themselves together.
Oh, it actually says tether. Oh, wow. He's
Yep.
really poking it at his audience. it like he almost makes you feel dumb rewatching a second time. Like, oh my God, how did I not? Like, how did that slip by?
So we find that it is Adelaide watching this commercial on TV. Adelaide is our main character. She's a young child here, and she and her parents are going to the Santa Cruz boardwalk in the next scene, which is an obvious
Lost Boys.
honor to, the Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys. If you haven't seen The Lost Boys, Kiefer Sutherland, young Corey Feldman, teenage Corey Feldman.
The two Coreys.
Both the Coreys. Any movie with both.
It's
the
a
Coreys.
classic.
It is.
I don't understand anybody that doesn't like The Lost Boys.
We actually, before we had our own show, we listened to a lot of other people's podcasts, and mostly podcasts about horror, but we try to not do horror all the time. It just happens to be that recently a lot of the films coming out that are using symbolism and acting have been horror films. And we listened to one where it was another, couple about our age, and it was a horror podcast, and they were doing The Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
I listened to a few of them, and I was like, okay, like, they're pretty entertaining. And then
I remember I was cooking when the episode
they
was talking
had
about
this
came up.
one episode, and then they just started ripping on the Lost Boys, talking about how stupid it was, and we shut it off.
I turned around,
was like,
I had a spoon in my hand, and I said,
was
shut
like,
that
I
shit off.
Can't listen anymore. Can't take them seriously.
If they're listening to this, good. Debate us. Change our mind. We go to the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. We're walking around with Mom, who is overprotective.
Yes.
And Dad, who is drunk. And I forget this actor's name. We didn't write down some of the peripheral actors' names because we were really trying to condense a lot of stuff. But
he's playing a game.
Whack-A-Mole.
And he wins her a T-shirt, and so.
No, it's the he's doing the baseball toss.
Yes.
With the milk bottles,
yeah. He wins a T-shirt for her, and she gets to pick which shirt she wants, and she chooses the Thriller T-shirt.
Which we are 5 minutes into the movie, and the symbolism has started. Like there's, oh wait, did we already get the opening card and everything?
Yes.
With like the text crawl and the rabbits?
I read it. I have the whole thing written down. I read it.
Whoa. You don't?
Whoa, indeed.
Yeah. Thriller shirt. There's lots of red here.
There's also this idea, maybe this is where the fingerless glove idea came from, because many of the tethered have the gloves on. And the mom is like, that shirt better not give her nightmares.
Right. The zombies are very similar to what we see from the tether. They're supposed to be kind of a mix between zombies and vampires because they're human but not quite.
And I read that Jordan Peele has referred to Michael Jackson as the patron saint of duality.
Yes.
So that goes into this
is such
a lot.
I love Jordan Peele, and that is something that I would love to actually hear him say out of his mouth. I haven't heard it.
I also think it's fitting because he has all these nods to past horror movies.
There's a ton of like, haha, wink, wink to people who know in this movie.
But I think it's fitting because the Thriller music video actually used to frighten me more than most scary movies I used to watch.
It was a great horror movie with musical interludes.
And it was directed by John Landis.
American Werewolf in London. Not a future episode, but you should watch it. We see her shortly after her dad buys her a candy apple.
Bright red apple
Against this, and she's constantly holding it against this black shirt. So it gives this really cool contrast, and it cinematically, like the shot wise, it gives a focal center where it draws your eyes to it specifically. You don't know why, but you cannot stop looking at this apple.
And if you think about it, this is actually a huge spoiler.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. It's also this tracking shot is the reverse of Halloween because we see almost everything forward.
And the cinematography in this is so well done. The cinematography was done by Michael Goulakis. He had also worked on It Follows, Split, John Dies at the End, which is a movie I saw at a film festival in Lansing a few years ago.
So you told me to watch that one, and we never watched it.
It was made by Don Coscarelli, who made Phantasm, and I know you're not big on Phantasm.
I'm not big on the Phantasm.
Oh, I love Phantasm. But yeah, we get a lot of use of the number 2.
Whack-A-Mole guy.
Whack-A-Mole.
The guy running the Whack-A-Mole stand is wearing a Black Flag shirt.
Oh yeah.
He's wearing a red Black Flag shirt with black writing. which literally later in the movie, I'll point it out because it's in my notes, but I'll forget that I said it now.
We see another character
wearing a black flag shirt with red writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, damn it, Jordan. Anyway.
But yeah, a lot of use of like double digits.
It's
the
just
number
1-1.
2.
Yeah. The idea, okay. The 11-11.
Mm-hmm.
There is so many ways this is interpreted, especially because it is a what's it called, where something is perfect on both sides. Oh man, I forgot that word. That word that word just slipped my mind. Not synchronous. Where if you folded it, it would look the same. I feel
like
dumb
symmetrical?
Right. Symmetrical! Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a symmetrical thing on both sides.
See, we're learning things in this episode, too.
Oh my lord, we are rusty. This is why we try to pump out so many episodes at a time, because if we take time off, this is what happens. But it's a symmetrical thing that you look at. You don't have to look at both of the ones. You look at the ones on the other side of the colons of the other ones. So you get this symmetrical mirror image, which is another just wink at the entire rest of the movie.
There's so many themes of perception and duality.
Changing, like looking at something from the other side of a perspective.
Or even seeing signs everywhere too, like people reading into signs of, say, like, you know, the apocalypse or something like that.
The guy, she walks away from her dad.
Well, her mom goes to use the bathroom and she's basically like, can you watch your daughter?
That she can you. Like, can you as in physically can you.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, she's fine, she's right there.
But
she
he's
walks
so
away.
busy playing a game.
He does not
and
watch his daughter.
And so she wanders off.
She sees a character holding a sign, and it says Jeremiah 11:11.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Jeremiah 11:11, I'm going to read this.
Go for it.
Therefore saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them which they shall not cry unto me. I will not hearken unto them. Jordan Peele interprets this as the people, Jordan Peele interprets this. The way this is interpreted, originally in the Bible rather, is that the people of Israel had a covenant with the Lord, and some of these people broke it. And this is the Lord coming back and telling them, you do not have my help, and something bad is coming to you. And this the concept of that, not particularly in a religious sense, but the concept of it comes back around in this film also. And also, this character, I forget the character's name, but holding the sign is actually, there's no lines, he's only in it for a full 5 minutes, but he's a really important character in a couple scenes. And it compares, it compares humans to the tethered. That's what sets up our dichotomy of humans and the tethered, is that verse.
So she wanders off. She finds a vision quest.
Like a fun house.
It's called Find Yourself. And this is where we hear the fun house speaker, which is Jordan Peele. She's walking through. She comes across a room full of mirrors, and the lights go out. But the only thing she can really see is the bright red exit sign.
But she can't actually get to it because all the ones she thinks she's walking towards are actually mirrors. Which, the idea that she can only see mirrors is another ridiculous symbolism. What the hell, Jordan?
So she begins to whistle, and what does she whistle?
I don't remember.
The Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Itsy Bitsy Spider. Okay, yes.
And
you had that. I didn't have that.
And she hears whistling in response to her.
Yeah, she stops whistling.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's still whistling.
So she backs up against the mirror, and we see her reflection, and then she moves, but her reflection doesn't move.
Yeah, she turns around,
yes.
and she's still looking at the reflection.
Back.
Yes.
The back.
Is this where it turns around? She turns around here?
No, it cuts away. This is where we see the white rabbit.
We cut right to the rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then the score begins.
For a second here, we need to talk about Jordan Peele and rabbits. If you haven't listened to our Get Out episode, pause, go back, listen to our Get Out episode, even if it's until we start talking about rabbits, and then come back to this moment. Because in Get Out, he uses the word and the concept of rabbits often as a thing of innocence that gets hurt in the crossfire of when things are happening. The word rabbit that he uses usually identifies this thing that shouldn't be getting hurt when something evil is happening. And the car and the song that plays in the car in Get Out, and he's referred to as a rabbit. The character Chris is referred to as a rabbit once or twice. In this, we have literal rabbits as this big wide opening shot. The score, composer Michael Abels, who is a genius, who also did the score for Get Out. The song that's playing here is called Anthem. Unlike Get Out, which Get Out had a specific meaning in its vocalizations over the main theme, which you did the research on.
Mm-hmm.
This main theme has vocalizations which purposefully mean nothing. They're not, mean nothing in the explicit sense.
They're like inaudible words.
They're not. No, they're nonsensical. They're nonsensical phenoms.
The title "Us" shows up on the screen, and it's in red lettering.
And it is also ridiculously reminiscent of another film.
So he did this with Get Out. I believe the Get Out title was blue,
yes.
Just like The Shining.
Yes.
The camera starts panning out, and we see tons of rabbits in cages. And again, this is similar to that earlier scene of the Hands Across America commercial with the different smiles and boxes like showing up on the screen.
This is about when we get to the vocalizations and the themes.
Yes.
It doesn't actually start right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to sound like children.
Or like the language of the tether,
right.
As you'll find out later.
But it's written to feel like a march or something that's organized, something that's coming. Mm-hmm. And it was meant to feel like something that's coming after you and doesn't speak your language. You can hear it speaking, but you can't understand it. And that's scary to, wink, wink, some people. They know who we're talking about. I love the shot with the title the title "Us" perfectly fits on the rabbit. Mm-hmm. He went into such detail here to make sure that at the exact point the title came up, it directly fits on this profile of this rabbit. And then we cut directly to present day.
So we get this overhead shot of the car driving down the road, which again, another nod to The Shining. Mm-hmm. We see the family in the car. So we have the mom, Adelaide, a grown-up version of the character from the opening scene. The dad is Gabe, the daughter is Zora, and the son is Jason, and he is wearing a Jaws t-shirt, which is
he's wearing
nice.
A badass Jaws t-shirt. Mm-hmm. Addie, of course, Lupita Nyong'o, Gabe, Winston Duke, mm-hmm. Jason, Evan, Alex, and Zora would be Shahadi. Mm-hmm. And Winston Duke playing a dorky dad that Jordan insists is not based on him. Winston Duke's physical transformation for this film had to have been more difficult. They give him these sweaters and these pants and things to kind of cover up. You know, we know that Winston Duke is a jacked guy. He's big, he's got these huge muscles and these broad shoulders, and they had to find a way to make him look frumpy. With these big, thick glasses, and he speaks with this very stop and start, almost always sarcastic turn of phrase. He's excellent. Lupita Nyong'o is the first actress, most likely. If I'm wrong about this, please comment, message us, correct us. We actually would like to know. I believe Lupita Nyong'o in this film is the first actress, the first black actress to lead a film that wore her hair in sister locks. Ever. And this is a thing that Jordan Peele said. He thinks she is the first actress to ever wear her hair in sister locks as a lead in a film. And it's way more significant than people give it credit for. This is where we get our first conversation of the family, right?
I didn't have any of it written down. I pretty much just jumped right to the cottage when they get there.
During this original conversation about I don't think there is a conversation in the cottage.
So
we go right to the cottage.
We go right to this cottage or summer house, whatever you want to call it, and
it was the house that her mom lived in, and they just went there every summer, and now they still own it.
Yeah, so what I noticed right away is the camera is tracking along inside, and we see a photo of Adelaide and Zora, and who I'm assuming to be Adelaide's mom. And Adelaide is not looking at the camera. She looks kind of uncomfortable.
Slightly
in
to
the picture,
right,
yeah.
or slightly to the left. I'm trying to remember what Mitch Hedberg said.
Yeah, so I've seen enough scary movies to know that something isn't right about that.
There's something not right off the bat. They're eating.
They're eating.
This is the conversation that I thought I was referring to in the first place, not the one in the car.
Everyone is eating food except Adelaide is just eating strawberries directly out of the container.
Right. They're talking about Zola running. And Gabe refers to Rocky 3 when he says you should run on the beach like in Rocky, and because it's easier on your knees and it causes you to have to push off harder. Like he's telling her it's good for her, and when he says you can go and you can run down on the beach, Addie looks up almost in a disagreement she doesn't want to hear anything about the beach. Like we know that now, but the first time you see it, you'd be like, why does she not want her daughter to do this cool workout, this dramatic workout?
And basically, Gabe is trying to motivate Zora, and he's telling her you can do anything that you set your mind to, or that might be Adelaide that tells her that.
Yes.
But if you focus on Lupita's eyes throughout the movie too, even the scenes where she's not speaking much, her eyes give so much away.
And it is the reason we do this show is because of films like this and Drive, where acting is telling a story and you have to pay attention to it to learn the full story. She is telling story with her acting the entire movie, and it has nothing to do with the words. It has nothing. She's telling you the backstory of the character while the rest of the movie is going on. My first legit for real laugh of this movie comes in this conversation when he's trying. The son, Jason, is playing with this thing. Click, click, click. And he can't get it to do it. It's a magic trick. Blah blah blah. And he looks up at his dad and says, this thing is bullshit. I laughed so hard. Just because it's a good, he delivers that perfectly.
Yeah, so we notice instantly that Adelaide and Jason seem extremely close. Like, she is very protective over him. Any discussion about the beach, she wants to just toss away immediately. She wants to avoid it. And this is where we get the flashback to Adelaide after having been found, and it looks like she's playing in this sandbox in a doctor's office, and she has all the little toy animals like lined up.
I remember sandboxes
next to one another.
The indoor little play sandboxes. Yep.
So we kind of get this shot of the parents inside the doctor's office, and we can hear the doctor talking about how she might have post-traumatic stress disorder after what's happened because she doesn't speak. And the mom is saying, I just want my daughter back. I just want my little girl back. So it's all very strange. Like, we're wondering what exactly happened.
The therapist says, we need her to draw. We need her to dance. We need to do whatever we can to get her to tell her story.
And the conversation is totally centered on the screen. We just get the very center is the open door where we're seeing the conversation. There's the aesthetic is all lines, like the lines on the chairs, the lines on their clothing.
Because the door is a straight up and down line. And then the dad's shirt, when you look at it close enough, is 1111s. It's got this 1111 design on it.
So yeah, we see again she's lining the toy animals side by side in the sandbox, and then we cut back to the present, and Adelaide is on the couch, and there's a toy spider on the table in front of her, but then there's an actual spider
crawling
around it, and this made me think of how real female spiders are protective of their young. When I lived in Arkansas, I'd always go to the big museum there, and there was a giant sculpture of a spider, and you could like walk under it and stuff, and it was supposed to be representative of the mother as the protector, as the loving mother, that kind of idea.
We haven't done a film that we plan to do. One of the films that we've kind of put off is Enemy, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Lots of spider talk in that one, so that's a definite stay tuned. Because there's similar themes when we talk about spiders. This conversation that happens when we come back, Gabe starts talking to her. What do you mean you don't want to go to the beach?
But then he uses Jason as an excuse. Like, he brings Jason into it, like, ever since Grandma died last summer.
Hasn't been the same for Jason.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if he could have this fun time at the beach? He eventually convinces her. Give me a kiss, and she puts like the book between them. It's a good scene. There's a lot of chemistry between Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke.
And we see that Jason likes to play in this toy closet, and the door instantly locks.
Well, it's like a food cabinet or something.
Yeah, but it locks from the outside.
I think it's just that the door is broken and it locks automatically.
Yeah, so he always has to prop like a toy, and he props a toy ambulance in it. And so...
Oh, I just got that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so Adelaide is walking around. She's wondering where Jason is. She goes into Zora's room, and then she's kind of freaking out.
Like, as soon as she asks Zora, and Zora says, no, I don't know where he is, she loses it. Like, quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But she, even though she knows where he is, It's just the fact that momentarily she doesn't, that she loses it over.
So she goes into this room, and there's like a ballet bar in there and childhood toys, and she's just kind of lost for a minute in there. And then there's a scene with Jason pranking Zora with a mask, which made us think of Tommy Jarvis from the Jason movies.
Not Tommy as much as Shelley.
Well, that too.
Pranking people with a mask.
Yeah.
Oh, they both do it though. But Shelley is the one that eventually gives Jason his mask. So.
Oh, okay. And then this is where he hides in the little closet, and he props the door open with the ambulance toy truck.
Well, the look on her face when she's looking at that ballerina picture though is what's really important here, because it's a look of fond remembrance, but it's kind of a twisted smile. Like the smile is not.
It's not right.
It's not right.
Because this creeped me out.
Yeah, it's a scary. It's a scary spot.
And the way she opens her eyes, super wide.
Yes.
And then she turns and she sees herself as a young girl practicing on the bar, and then her mirror reflection turns to look at her. It's just an odd little scene.
We went over the whole Jason thing. We learn that he is traumatized by being trapped in this closet. He is trapped in this closet. I will.
Don't make any
I will resist. I actually have in my notes. Refuse to make R. Kelly joke. I won't do it. This is okay.
So they find Jason, and
then we
the
hear
three of them are together. We hear a horn honking, and we find that Gabe has bought a boat.
He bought a boat. It's not a good boat.
He's screaming "Crawdaddy!"
It's an ugly boat. Yes, he's yelling "Crawdaddy!" and we find out that that's the name of the boat.
Yeah. And what color are crawdaddies?
They are bright red.
And so he's, so he's on this boat and he's bragging that it has a cassette player. And
it's 2019.
Oh, in this scene we noticed that Zora has a rabbit on her t-shirt.
Zora, when they're standing there on the dock and they're watching him in this boat, she has a white rabbit on her t-shirt. We learn that it tends to stall often. And he says out loud, it's okay, it works fine, it just veers to the left. Which comes into play later on. Which, what the hell, Jordan? Like, everything everybody says is important at some point. It's not great. It's not a great boat, but he's so proud. You have to hand it to him.
Because we learn in an upcoming scene that he's kind of competitive with this friend of his.
Yes. We go from this boat to them in the car.
And this is the trailer scene.
This is the scene from the trailer that is probably the most famous scene in the movie. Because a lot of people were disturbed by it and they didn't know why. There were a lot of people that were like, we're watching this and it's just a conversation with a family and we don't understand why.
Well, initially, Zora is the only one that's talking, and she's asking the family if they know about the government using fluoride to control everyone's minds, and then she makes this comment, no one else cares about the end of the world.
Yeah, which...
And then this is where we get Jason saying...
Second funniest thing in the movie.
Maybe you can kiss my anus, Zora.
Yeah. Which, legit laugh. This kid is just dropping gems in this movie.
And he's wearing a mask on the top of his head.
He actually, I think there's only 2 scenes in the whole movie where he doesn't have the mask on. Addie turns on the road. We don't always have to be talking. Gabe
That's
says we
what
don't
Gabe
always have
says.
to. Gabe says we don't always have to be talking. It's okay to be quiet sometimes, which is a total dad thing to say. Addie turns on the radio, and Looney's I Got 5 on It comes on, which we'll discuss that later again. But it's playing, and it looks like right away everybody's like, oh yeah, this is a good, it's a good song. Everybody knows that song.
They're discussing the meaning of it.
Oh yeah.
Zora says it's about drugs, and Gabe's like, it's not about drugs, it's a dope song.
Which, again, fuck you, Jordan, because that is the dichotomy we're talking about. He is pointing out, okay, it's denouncing the song, his statement, that one sentence, is denouncing the song's drug references, which the entire song is drug references, almost literally, by using a word that references drugs as a positive. When we say dope, it's a reference to a drug. Whether the word dope changes from person to person, but...
Just like the word glory hole can.
Oh my god. Yes, it can. Anyway, but then he's saying, don't do drugs. He literally says, don't do drugs. It's a dope song. And it builds this automatic dichotomy between, but what do you actually mean? I thought it was a genius piece of writing. And Jordan, it's the kind of writing Jordan should be recognized for.
Elvis just snored so loud that he woke himself up. I'm wondering if the mics are gonna pick up his snoring.
If you've heard a noise coming that you've been like, what is that? It's Elvis. He was just sleeping on the floor and he was snoring. He just
flopped over.
Just flopped. He's a flop. And then Addie turns around to try to break some of this tension. And she tries to teach Jason rhythm in this scene. She tries to teach him beat. And she's like snapping. But she's not on beat. She's not in rhythm. And it is that, I forget that, I should have wrote down that director's name. The director of It Follows used a lot of this. Things that you see and you know something is wrong, but you don't know what's making you feel uneasy.
It's a very Kubrick thing to do as well. It was used in It Follows a lot because you'd have the main character, swimming in the pool, yet it looked like it was
late
autumn,
fall. Yeah,
maybe
fall.
Winter in the background, like things like that.
That make you, okay, if you also hear noises, it was hot in our studio today. That noise. It's hot in our studio today, so we have to record with the window open or we'd be dying. So there might be some noises coming through the window right now, but we apologize. We're trying. Yeah, it's... Oh, David Robert Mitchell.
Yes.
David Robert Mitchell does this often, especially in It Follows. If you listen to this episode and decide to watch It Follows, do not do so with your significant other. Don't. I'm telling you, if you actually want to stay in that relationship, do not watch that movie with your significant other. They get to the beach, and Gabe starts chanting Santa Cruz, and it really angers Addie. She wants no part of that. He turns on the Beach Boys, which again, wink wink, Lost Boys. It's because there is a Beach Boys song.
In the Lost Boys?
Yeah.
When?
Wait. Oh. I just read my own notes wrong.
Oh,
Don't
no.
judge me. I meant to say that him chanting Santa Cruz is where we get our Lost Boys reference.
Okay.
I need to actually read my notes before I start talking.
And also the snapping when Addie is trying to teach Jason how to be on beat, that comes to use in a later scene as well.
He literally takes everything in the first half, folds it over to the second half, and makes it sinister.
Mm-hmm.
Also, again, we're on our way to the beach, and Anthem, this song with this marching, this something's coming for you feeling starts playing again, which if you want to listen to Michael Abel's music, because it is genius, if you want to listen to it and just kind of get a feel for how he captures scenes or feelings in music, it's all on Spotify. You can find Spotify. You can find the Us soundtrack and the Get Out soundtrack, but not just the soundtracks, but the scores.
Mm-hmm.
I have both saved to my Spotify.
Oh yeah. So
They get to the beach and they're walking, and this overhead shot of them walking on the beach is another something's not. It makes you not feel right.
This was probably one of my favorite shots in the movie. The family is walking on the beach, but their shadows are in full form.
Yes.
And it looks as though they're marching.
They're in step with each other, and their shadows are completely full next to them. It's not something you would naturally see. These shadows would be slightly off. They would just be blobs in real life, and these shadows are in full form next to them, spectral looking. Eddie sees that the funhouse is still there during this walk to their spot on the beach.
It's called something different.
It is called something different now, because it was like an Indian vision quest in the first place, and now it's something about a wizard. This is where we meet Josh and Kitty and their two daughters, who have incidental names, so we'll just call them the twins.
And they're late, and Josh is like, it's 2:30, where's the efficiency? And Gabe says, oh, us Wilsons always take our time.
Yes, which comes in, again, damn you, Jordan. We learn that Josh is always a little condescending to Gabe. You get this feeling like they're friends, but Josh is also Gabe's boss at work. Kind of feel like that might not be the actual, but like that's what it feels like. Like he can kind of say whatever he wants to Gabe, and it's okay. Tim Heidecker, if you watch the special features on the Blu-ray that came out, they just let him roll. They gave him the basic idea of what Josh was supposed to say, and then they kind of just let him improv until he hit something that they liked.
We talked about the homeless man, right?
No, because we haven't gotten there.
I had it in my notes already.
Oh, shoot.
It's okay.
It's back on the drive, isn't it?
So, yeah, on the drive, they're at the boardwalk, and they see this man being lifted into an ambulance, and it looks like he's been stabbed multiple times. And we see that he is the Jeremiah 11:11 homeless man from the beginning. And we also assume he is the first victim of the tether.
Oh, and in a second, we won't have to assume.
But yeah, back to the beach.
Gabe,
we find out
we're talking about Josh is making sure Gabe got everything on the boat. You got your life jackets, yes. You got your life preserver, yes. You got your backup gas. Like they're going through this checklist, and he says flare gun, and we find out that Gabe did not buy a flare gun for the boat. Again, every line in this movie is significant. We don't know if Addie is the way she is in this scene just with Kitty or with everybody outside of her immediate family, because Kitty's trying to talk to her and she is almost completely unresponsive.
Yeah, so we find out the two families are staying right across the bay from one another, but...
Like, literally across the lake.
And it seems like their families know each other well, but I don't know, Adelaide just seems unenthused with the conversation with her and Kitty. She almost seems annoyed.
Like she'd rather not be talking to her.
And then she does say, I have a hard time just, talking. And it makes me wonder, though, how her and Gabe's relationship started, like how they met and all of that stuff.
Yes. Addie constantly has to be able to see her kids wherever they are. Like, she's supposed to be sitting next to this adult and having an adult conversation, and instead her eyes are constantly darting between her two kids.
And she's
back
just
and forth and back and forth.
Drinking water all the time.
She
You
gets
see that
offered alcohol.
Kitty is a heavy drinker.
Yes. And we'll get to some of the jokes that...
Yeah, I was about to go into it. Yeah. So, yeah, Josh comes over and he's like, I'm going to get my wife her medicine.
Time for her medicine.
And he offers her thirds on her drinks. And you can see that there's tension between the two of them. And then she actually says, I hate you. And then she tells Adelaide, I think about murdering him sometimes.
Yes.
And they're the total opposite of what Gabe and Adelaide are.
Because Gabe and Adelaide have this, they look at each other and you feel this love. Like there is a chemistry between the actors to where they really got across this mature, absolutely loving relationship. And not so much between the Josh and Kitty characters. Like, you feel like the only reason they're together is because they have to be. When she looks at... There's a time where she looks over at Jason, and we see these twins, Josh and Kitty's daughters, and they're just doing constant cartwheels. They're just cartwheeling all over the place. This is also where we see one of the twins is wearing a black on red Black Flag shirt. If you're not familiar with Black Flag, punk band from the 80s, frontman was Henry Rollins, legendary frontman, spoken word artist, actor, stand-up comedian. He's a really interesting guy, but that's irrelevant. This is where we see that negative shirt from the guy we saw earlier.
And also, Kitty reveals to Adelaide that she has recently undergone some plastic surgery on her face, and she says, oh, just like an itsy-bitsy little thing.
Yeah.
But Zora is on her own, listening to music. She's always got earbuds in her ears.
We get this quick shot, this quick nod shot to the birds, where we see all these seagulls just swarming down on this spot, this one particular spot.
And no one runs.
Anyway, this is also the scene where we found out in an interview with Jimmy Fallon that Winston Duke said while they were shooting this scene, they saw a seagull eating another seagull. Like, it was a dead seagull and there were other seagulls eating it. And it said it really freaked them out. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened making this movie.
We actually saw that last summer.
We saw that right before our event.
The river walk. No, it was last summer.
Oh, it was.
We were walking down by the river and we saw a seagull eating another seagull.
And it really freaked us out. The guy from earlier... Oh, wait, no, hold on. I missed something in my notes. You have something I don't have.
Yeah, Zora is on the beach by herself and she's just watching Jason with the twins and they're doing their constant cartwheels and one of them cartwheels right onto what Jason was building and he says it was a stupid tunnel
Right.
And it's constantly cutting back and forth between the kids and
Jason and Zora,
and the
Zora.
parents.
It feels like he's winding us up, as cinematography wise, or just in the direction. He's winding us up because these shots get quicker, and quicker, and quicker, and then it all kind of culminates in this like speed of looking at the kids, and then the uproar of the conversation between the adults, and then we get this frisbee.
Well, you're skipping over a lot.
How am I?
So, we're constantly cutting back and forth between the kids and the conversation between Kitty and Adelaide. And Kitty is asking Adelaide if she wishes that she had kept on dancing.
Oh.
And Adelaide's like, I peaked at 14, which is very important later. And Kitty's like, didn't we all?
I need to apologize. Because what happened here is we got into... keep in mind, we are approximately 20 minutes into the movie of the movie. But we were 4 hours into research taking. Like, I was fading at this point in our research and notes. So I'm actually sitting here recording, looking at my notes and going, what is that even? So I apologize.
And so Jason wanders off alone. He has to go to the bathroom, so he's looking for a bathroom. And this is where we see the fun house, but now it's called Merlin's Forest. The Find Yourself Merlin's Forest. And we cut back to Kitty, and she's saying, I think I could have been a movie star. And then, I have all the notes about the seagulls, the flock of seagulls, and the seagull eating another.
And no one
seagull.
runs. Yeah. Did you write that joke down?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
I also wrote that it could be a nod to the birds as well.
Did I? Okay. Anyway.
What?
He's looking around for a bathroom. Sees the porta potties, but he also he sees the porta potties, but he also sees this fun house. And what else?
So yeah, then we cut to the seagulls, and then we cut back to Jason emerging from using one of the porta-johns, and they're all blue. And then there's a blue trash can that says don't litter. And then this is where he sees a man in a trench coat on the beach, and his arms are outstretched. And then we get a close-up shot of the man's hands, and there's blood dripping from one of them.
There is some very realistic blood. When we talk about movie blood, and I don't know if you've heard us talk about movie blood before, but there's a couple kinds of movie blood. There's not good movie blood that looks like grape jelly. There's Italian movie blood that is neon red. And then there's this, which you actually have to wonder who did this effect because it's very real looking blood. And we see this man standing, dripping blood. And actually, this is where we have to cut the episode off.
Oh no.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Best cliffhanger. I'm really proud of myself. I actually was watching the timer like, uh-oh, and then we ran into this, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Ah.
So, you'll have to tune into parts 2 and 3, because we're definitely going to have 3 episodes on this one. Why are you snapping? Is this West Side Story? Definitely tune in to parts 2 and 3. Thank you for listening. Anything else you got for this one?
Nope.
Okay.
Did you just hear that loud bang?
I mean, it's just something.
It's our doppelgangers.
Okay. he's anything like me, cool dude. This is probably going to be the first set of episodes that we don't record consecutively. So, hopefully, we can get this out as soon as we can so that we can keep you guys paying attention, comment, rate, review, subscribe, send us a message on Facebook, do all of that on Facebook also. Give us a little thumbs up. Tell us if you do like it. Tell us if you don't like it. It's great. It sucks. I'm trying to make a dichotomy here. Do you see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Scream at my apartment window. What else?
If you haven't seen the movie yet, make sure you go see it before the next parts come out.
Ooh, yeah. If you listen to this and you haven't seen us yet, go watch it and then catch up with, because we haven't gotten into the meat and potatoes yet. What else?
Think pink.
Adopt, don't shop.